Hey, fifth graders. So, weird things have happened in the last week, obviously. I wish that you all could be here today. This is my second day of being in the school, kind of helping pass things out. I've seen a lot of your parents, a couple of you, but obviously we can't be together just because of the situation going on. But I wanted to make a video while I still have access to the classroom because this is the last day that I'm going to be in here for the next couple of weeks. I will probably try and post some videos from home, but I just wanted to make sure, well, mostly this is going to be about math, but also I wanted to see if I could get this video thing working. We'll see how it goes. Also, I bought brand new dry erase markers because my other ones were dying, and then now we don't get to use them, but that's okay. So anyway, yeah, so real quick, let's just talk a little bit about the first couple lessons of Chapter 8. The first lesson is just sort of an introduction to dividing with fractions, which is a brand new concept for you guys, though it's actually fairly simple, but it's new, and new things are scary, and also, you know, there's a learning curve. So let's talk about what we're doing here. So the example on I think the first page of the actual lesson problem. So number 1 on, I don't remember what page it is, but that's okay. It's got 3. And it's got 3 boxes, just like this, divided by 1/3. And then underneath, it's got the, that's terrible. It has little fraction strips for you. Looks something like that, right? Okay, and then right underneath it, it says 3 divided by 1/3 equals blank. I think it's because blank times 1/3 equals 3. Okay. Oh, Leighton and Brennan, you guys would have had prayers of the faithful. Sorry, that's not happening anymore. Get rid of all this stuff. So, let's talk about A, what's going on here, and then obviously B, what the answer is, though that's a little bit less important. And hopefully you can see this. It looks like on my screen it's showing up okay. All right. Now, the easy thing to do, of course, is we're just going to count up how many 1/3 size pieces you have, and obviously you have 3 for each. These are all 1. Oh, that is not going to show up. So for every 1, you have 3, which means you're going to do 3 times 3, which of course is 9, right? So if these are all 1, 3/3 make 1 whole. We have 3 wholes times 3 is going to be 9. And that's because 9 times 1/3 equals 3, which of course you guys remember, you would have done 9 over 1 times 1 over 3 equals 9 over 3. And then we would have simplified. 3 goes into 9 3 times, so that's our answer. Right? And notice over here, and this is kind of the trick that I would have taught you and that eventually you guys will do kind of naturally, I think, is you'll say, okay, 3, and you'll change this into a multiplication symbol and you flip the second number. So 3 times 3 over 1, which is the same as 3 over 1 times 3 over 1, which is equal to 9 over 1, or just plain 9. Okay? So that's kind of the simple way to do things. But basically, when we're dividing by a fraction, so when you have a whole number dividing by a fraction, or even a fraction divided by a fraction, really what you're doing is you're breaking up that whole number into that many fractional pieces and saying, how many pieces do we have? Okay? So that's why, even though you're dividing, you can get a much bigger number. We'll take a look at another real quick example here. So let's do 8. Do 8 divided by, you know what? Let's do 8 divided by 1/3 again. This will be interesting. This is perhaps a little more advanced because you guys wouldn't have done this sort of thing, but that's all right. So 8 divided by 1/3, actually you would have done this sort of thing, is you've got 8 things, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 pizzas. And we're going to divide each of these pizzas into a 1/3 size piece, or 1/3 size pieces. So if we had had our pizza party and I bought 8 pizzas for you guys, and then I said, hey, let's cut each of these pieces into 1/3 size slices, the question would be, how many slices do we have? And that's what this question is. 8 divided by 1/3 is saying, how many slices of pizza do you have if you have 8 pizzas and you divide each of them into 1/3 size chunks? And the answer, if you counted those all up, is going to be 3 times 8, which is 24. So again, 8 divided by 1/3 is equal to 8 times 3/1, which equals 24. Okay? Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. So this was Chapter 8, Lesson 1. Chapter 8, Lesson 2 is actually just doing some problem solving with it, so I'll be using that same kind of method. And then lesson, which one is this? Lesson 3 involves kind of doing the same thing, only now you are interpreting division as fractions. So let's real quick just talk about what this means. If I gave you a simple problem, like let's say 4 divided by 2, right? All of you guys could do that in your head really quickly. 4 divided by 2, of course, is 2. But remember what I told you about dividing with fractions? Well, we can actually do that with whole numbers also. Because 4 divided by 2 is the same thing as 4. Change the division symbol to a multiplication symbol, and then flip this. Remember, 2 is just 2/1, so that could be 1/2. Well, 4 times 1/2, if you guys remember from last chapter, is 4/1 times 1/2. You multiply the top times the top, which is 4. Bottom times bottom is 2. 4 halves, well, simplify again. 2 goes into 4 2 times is 2. So notice again, I just turned that into division. So you could say that 4 divided by 2 is equal to 4/2. Now, you have to be very, very careful with this, because 4 divided by 2 does not equal 2/4. Okay? The thing that you're dividing by, the divisor, is what goes in the denominator slot. Okay? If you flip it around, obviously that's going to be 1/2, whereas this is going to be 2. Your answers will be totally wrong. So you just got to be careful, and it's always really easy for me to see, and hopefully it'll be really easy for you guys to see when you make that mistake, because you're just going to have your numbers going to be flipped, right? What should be in the numerator spot will be in the denominator spot, or vice versa. Dividing with fractions is one where it's really easy to check your answer. Like it's just do that. It's quick, it's painless, it doesn't take much. Most of these problems are very, very simple. So just flip the numbers and then, or don't flip the numbers, I'm sorry. So just take the numbers and multiply them. So take your answer, time your divisor, and you should get your dividend, the thing that you're dividing up, as your product. All right, so 2 times 2 is 4. 1/2 times 2 is not 4, it's 1. So that's how you could see, oh, whoops, I made a mistake here, because that's bad. On the test, which sadly we won't get to, there were a couple of questions with like people were dividing up bags of like granola or something like that. Hikers, friends were dividing up bags. And one of my favorite things that I sadly won't get to do this year is I really loved when kids would turn in tests where they divided the bags of granola by the number of people, or I'm sorry, they divided the people by bags of granola. Because I just loved writing on the test, you have divided up your friends into granola, you're a monster. A lot of those tests, those questions could be interpreted as horror stories, but we won't get to do that this year, which is sad. I'll still send you guys the test probably, but it just won't be quite the same thing. All right, so that's lesson 3. Lesson 4. Oh, I don't remember what lesson 4 was. Oh, I think this is lesson 4. Yeah, okay. So lesson 4 is kind of more of the same. There's little bits of pictures here. Sorry, I've got a second computer that has the teacher's guide just so I can see what problems you guys are doing, because I've sent all the books home at this point. There's a little bit of using models. In this case, you're going to be getting problems where sometimes you're dividing fractions by whole numbers and sometimes you're dividing whole numbers by fractions. So you might have, 3 divided by 1/7, right? But you might also have something that's, say, like 1/4 divided by 6, okay? So, again, it is super straightforward, right? 3 divided by 1/7 is saying you have 3 things where there's 7 parts in each one of those things, right? You've divided them up into 7 things. So you have 3 pizzas. Each pizza is divided into 7 slices. How many total slices do you have? Pretty simple, right? You guys probably can do that in your head really quickly. I'm sure if Finn was here, or a couple of the other, in particular, boys, it seems, would be shouting out the answer like, oh, it's 21. I'd be like, yeah, raise your hand. But you're not here, so I can't do that. But I'm just going to say, Finn, raise your hand anyway. All right. Down here, 1/4 divided by 6. Little trickier. This is saying you have a 1/4 size piece, right? So that's this part right here. We'll color it in red or blue. And we're going to take that little piece, that 1/4, and we're going to divide it into 6 parts. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we'll pretend like those are equal. Okay? Now we're asking, not how many pieces do we have? Obviously we have 6, but that's not the question. It's what is each of these pieces worth as a fractional part of the whole. That sounds complicated, but basically it's if I carried these lines all the way through, then how many sections do I have, and what is one of those pieces worth? Okay, well, if this is 1/4 and I've divided it up into 6 pieces, then that is the same as saying that this is 1/6 of 1/4. Hopefully you can see that I wrote that kind of small. I'll write it bigger since I've got plenty of time. So this is saying 1/6 of 1/4, right? And hopefully you guys remember, of means multiply. So this is 1/6 times 1/4. Now I flipped these numbers around just because that's how of works as a sentence. But really what we're doing is this is, same thing. This is 1/4 times 1/6. Again, I take that division symbol, I change it to multiplication. I take that 6, and it's really a 6 over 1, and I flip it to 1 over 6, and then I multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1, 4 times 6 is 24. Okay? So if we had carried these lines all the way through, there would be 24 total boxes, right? 24 of these little rectangular boxes, because there'd be 6 in this one, 6 in this one, 6 in this one. And just one of those boxes, there'd be 24 total. One of them would be 1/24. Pretty easy, yeah? So again, all you have to do really is change division to multiplication, flip your divisor, not your dividend, your divisor upside down, and then just treat it like multiplication, okay? It worked up here. If you did 3 divided by 1/7, we could have just made this 3 times 7 over 1, which still equals 21. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Okay, so that is the first 4 lessons of Chapter 8. And Lesson 5 is... Well, again, it's more of the same. It's interpreting the division. So this is going to be more story problem kind of things. You guys should be able to handle that. So try and finish this chapter by the end of the week. If you guys had been here, we would have been done with it by Friday. And then on Monday, I probably would have given you the practice test, and Wednesday we would have taken the actual test. So we'll kind of try for that. I know on the schedule I put down basically just take the practice test on Monday that's at the end of your book, and then on Tuesday start up with Chapter 9. That's totally fine. But I expect a lot of you guys, honestly, when you're kind of one-on-one with your parents, be nice to them. Some of them haven't had to do fractional division and that sort of thing in a while. But when you are at home with them, you got a little more access to someone who can just kind of come and help you right away. So if you can do multiple lessons in a day, feel free to do that. I will, again, like I said, I'm looking at maybe sending out the test. We'll see how it goes. We're going to kind of work on this whole technology thing and see what we can do. I will try to get the whole Seesaw thing working. We haven't done that in a long time. So again, we'll see where we're at here by the end of the week. We'll see kind of what the situation in the world is looking like. If we're ever going to have class again this year, I would really love to. I'm hoping that if not in April, then by May, maybe we can get back together. There's a whole lot of stuff involved here that's way above my pay grade. So, we'll just do what we have to do in order for everything to work out, properly and for everybody to be healthy and safe. So we'll see where we're at here. But yeah, I've given you guys lessons for the next 2 weeks. And just be checking out Seesaw, and we'll work on that. Maybe I don't know, we'll see. Maybe we can even do like a Zoom video conference call with me and as many of you guys as can join in there. If you have questions, I know that a lot of you guys don't necessarily, you probably do have email, but if you don't have email for whatever reason and you want to send me a question, just get into your Google Docs and just write, like title the document questions, and then write your questions out and share it with me. And I will try to be checking my email multiple times a day. So as soon as I see it, I will respond and try and give you an answer. But yeah, so we'll see where we're at. The world kind of went a little crazy. Believe it or not, this is not the first time it has happened in the history of the universe. I know it feels kind of like this is unprecedented. It's never happened before. It's not. It actually happens, every 40, 50 years, something like that. It's just been a really long time since we had the last one. So there's a lot of people freaking out now, but it will be okay. It's not the end of the world. I'm hoping that I get to see you guys again. If not in real life, then at the very least, getting to do some video things with you. I'm really sad that Stations of the Cross is not happening when it should be happening, but maybe we can even take a look at somehow getting together and doing Stations of the Cross, whenever it is that this kind of wraps itself up, be that in May or June or even July. I'm okay if I'm not traveling. I have no problem with just coming over to the church, and maybe we can work something out. So we'll see. But I'll be communicating with your parents, and we'll figure out what we can figure out. But in the meantime, keep working. Be nice to your families, and try and be helpful around the house. And guys, get out and have fun. Like, when you really break it down, a lot of schoolwork stuff we could get done a lot faster if there was just like one of you and one of me. Like, that'd be pretty easy. So if you have extra time, if you can get your schoolwork done quickly, and it's nice out, which it hasn't been, but when it's nice out, like, go outside and explore the world. There's going to be learning to be done there. Do coloring, do some sort of activity. All those things. Be active. Don't just sit in front of the TV playing video games as soon as you finish, the hour and a half that maybe it takes you to do all the work that I give you. Once you're done with that, don't just veg out. That's going to be bad for your brain. Okay. Try and stay away from screens. If you don't want to do anything, or if it's kind of a drizzly, crummy day outside, get out a book and read. Read the Harry Potter books if you haven't read those before. Read the Chronicles of Narnia. Just find something to read. A lot of apps and things are having free books, be they audio books or just regular books. If you have to be staring at a screen, be staring at a screen with words on it, because that's better for you than staring at a screen with a video game or a video, YouTube videos, that sort of thing. So anyway, have an awesome day, guys. Stay safe out there. God bless, and hopefully I'll talk to you later. All right.